cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
You have a drunk Bailey's from a shoe?
Right, welcome into the View from C Deck, and it's time to preview a new season. We just had week 0 happen. We meant to record this a little earlier, but both of us had some some conflicts with our schedules. But we already saw a big upset. Ohio State preview time, though. I'm just Matt. This is Casey, the Dyerwolf, here for the View from C Deck. And we're here to preview the offense for 2024 for Ohio State, and let's jump right into it. It's going to be different this year because we finally have a new play caller. We have to jump right into Chip Kelly, new play caller, Ohio State. Goes away from a head coaching job, steps down because he doesn't want to deal with this NIL bullshit, and I don't blame him. But he's was the mentor of Ryan Day. Now he's the protege of the new mentor or something. What are you expecting here with Chip Kelly, though, coming in as the new QB coach and, most importantly, play caller, offensive coordinator?
That's the question for sure. I think it's the first time I can remember when there's kind of a question mark on both passing and running coming into a season, because the run game was terrible last year already. One of the worst yards per carry for a while.
Yes.
I don't know how long, and then B, Kyle McCord isn't a gunslinger or anything, but I mean, we had Marvin that's gone. I feel like quarterback is in a good spot, but it's a huge unknown. The only knock about him, it seems to be, his downfield accuracy, really, which could come back to bite us. So yeah. I don't know. I don't think we'll know anything until pretty much Iowa, though.
Iowa will be definitely the first big test. But Chip's going to come in here. He's always been a top running, UCLA was top 10 last year in running. They've been a top 10 team in running every year but one that he was there. Oregon ran the ball. Now, a lot of it has to do with the tempo he runs, and they're higher tempo than we've been for sure under Day. Hopefully we get that going, get more plays, get more runs in, catch defenses off guard. We have 2 of the best running backs in the country to do it. The big question, I think, is going to be what we'll talk about last, and that's the O-line. But we'll start with the quarterbacks, coached by Chip Kelly. And mostly Ryan Day, though, too, still doing that. And Will Howard, transferring from Kansas State, wins the job. We'll have to see, as a passer, if he can improve from his numbers. He's not the most accurate guy. And what we've heard in camp, it's what it plagued him at Kansas State. It's the deep ball that he's not the most accurate, but everything else he can do. He can make throws. He has the arm strength. But what he adds to us that we haven't had since Justin Fields was here is a running element at quarterback. And you know how I've pounded it forever. It's hard to run out of the spread without a running quarterback. We finally have that again, and it should open up the running game more.
That is what I'm most excited about, especially in the red zone. I think it's going to be our touchdown conversion in the red zone should be one of the best in the country with all the weapons we have. And that was a big weakness last year. So if we turn that alone, that's huge.
Wildly mediocre. And third and shorts should be almost automatics now. I mean, This is what, like I said on a previous podcast, this is hopefully what JT Barrett would have looked like had they turned the reins over to him fully in 2015. And we have a whole podcast about that quarterback battle if you want to go find it. But just having a guy who can distribute the ball and contribute massively in the running game is huge. But if you're going to run the quarterback, you need to have some depth. We have depth out the wazoo if you go by star ratings. Devin Brown, though, all these guys are top 10 quarterbacks coming in. Devin Brown, probably the key backup, at least to start the season. Experienced, has lost 2 straight quarterback battles in the spring and fall. What we've seen of him, I haven't been impressed, to be honest with you. Do you think he holds off the freshman sensation Julian Sand all year?
Probably not all year. I mean, if he actually has to come in, maybe he might keep it. I don't know if they'll trust. If we still keep winning, but he looks like shit. If Brown was in, he'll still stay in until we lose, I think.
Yeah. Do you think we see packages with Brown as a primary runner like we saw in the middle of last year, even though Will Howard is a runner, but to spare some hits for Will Howard in the middle of the season, or is that too risky when he's your number one backup?
Oh, you're saying using him like the way he got hurt last year, pretty much.
Correct. Yes. And that he probably would get hurt again. I just don't think he's quite built for that role physically.
I don't know. I didn't even think about that they could do that. But that is a good point. Maybe we will see it. But I don't know. But if he gets hurt, you're right. We got depth. But if Howard has already been hurt at that point, then no chance. He's not. He's going to be more careful with him.
Oh yeah, I mean, and Julian's not a runner. Like he can run, but he's not somebody you're going to run a read option 10 times a game with.
No.
If he does, he's way too small. Right now, but also I don't think he's got that kind of athleticism. But like a lot of people were saying, we don't need Will Howard to be C.J. Stroud here, but we need him to be J.T. Barrett probably or Craig Krenzel, somebody who just makes plays when we need him to make plays. Converts 3rd and 6 with his legs every now and then. Converts touchdowns in the red zone. Can hit the deep ball once or twice a game to keep the defense honest. Like that's what we need out of him, because what we got around him is special. And we'll start with the running backs, as we have 2 All-American type running backs. Travion Henderson, who's been here for a while now, finally his senior year. It seems like he was just starting and tearing Minnesota a new asshole right off the bat when he was his freshman year, which is his best year. And then Quinshon Judkins, who as a freshman led the freaking SEC in rushing, and last year had another solid year, but his yards per carry were also down for who knows what reason exactly. You can ask Mississippi people about that. But they're 2 of the top 5 running backs on every draft board. Most of the times, Quinshon's number 1 on a lot of people's draft boards. I picked as my Heisman sleeper on the team, Travion, in a previous podcast. These 2 are, I mean, there's a lot on them, though, because there's not a lot of depth behind them this year.
Yeah, that's true. And they could end up being the top 2 running backs drafted, but probably not. The kid from Oklahoma State probably has it. But I don't know. I think there's no debate that it's the best 1-2 punch. They could end up as the 2 best. So, but I'm guessing who you're going to talk about next, or that'd be wide receivers. But who's protecting them is really, if they're opening up holes, it's going to be lights out.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to skip that. But first of all, so 3rd string, though, will probably be James Peoples after TC Coffee gets injured for the year. And I think it was leading up to fall camp. I don't think it was actually in fall camp. It was in workout. But so we got true freshmen coming in 3rd string and 4th string, Sam Williams-Dixon, who they've talked a lot about highly of both. But Peoples, we saw in the spring game, he does have a little more ferociousness to his running style. But, true freshman, it's a one he can contribute as a runner, I have no doubt. It's the other things, pass blocking, everything else that, like, will he be effective enough to be putting in? But I think we're going to see him let him rip early in the season. We got to get real reps for these guys. That's going to be something interesting to see. We can talk about a little bit more at the end. I'm going to go tight ends next, just to throw you off, but also to save some of the highlight type people. So Will Kagmerich comes in from Ohio. G. Scott's probably the other 2, the 2 that we're going to see the most. And Jelani Thurman will be our 3rd stringer, who is probably the most athletic and well-built, and in the future will be the highest draft pick. But Ryan Day says he wants to see a little more. But so Kagmerich's coming here from OU, though, to be a blocker. We need a lot of blocking in this offense from our tight ends, like Ohio State always has done. G. Scott came in as a highly touted wide receiver, wasn't going to win a spot in that wide receiver room, so moved over to the tight end room with his size. Has not been a great blocker, though, but he has obviously those receiving skills and attributes. So do you think we see more passing or more rushing this year from our tight ends?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is about one of the only position battles that actually hasn't been settled yet, apparently. Like, he hasn't actually named his starting. So I was a little surprised at that. I assumed to be Scott, but then, yeah, it seems like this dude is great at way better than Scott at blocking. So I think you're right. He might be in more than Scott, because I think we're going to lean on the run this year, hopefully. Yeah.
And Keenan Bailey, he might be somebody coaching for his job already, to be honest, because not like the tight ends were particularly great last year. Cade Stover had like an all-time great season by Ohio State standards. I think he set the record with 41 catches, but wasn't a good blocker. Yeah. Really. That's like what you need in this offense, because we run a lot of like wham stuff. That's also what's hurt the running game. And I think Chip Kelly will get them to do that better, though. He loves using 2 tight end sets out with like an ace backfield. So it should be something we see a lot of. And I'm really excited for Jelani Thurman if he can put it all together. It sounds like just the consistency, which means missing assignments. Whenever they say that, when a coach says consistency, they mean he's blowing his assignment every now and then. And too often for the coach's liking for him to trust him in the game. But those guys don't need to be great receivers because of the receivers that we have. And even though we lost 3 out of our top 4 pass catchers from last year, if you include Stover in that, and obviously the best wide receiver in the country and Marvin Harrison Jr., it doesn't matter, baby. We just reload here. Brian Hartline's the man at recruiting and developing. And we brought in a super duper freshman in Jeremiah Smith. But so starters are going to be Emeka Ibuka in the slot, Jeremiah Smith out wide, as well as Carnell Tate, who was talked up massively last year as a freshman. Didn't produce that much, but it was in a stacked room, of course. And then Brandon Ennis will probably be the first man in kind of everywhere, and may get some carries out of the backfield too, especially if we're wanting to keep the load light on the running backs. But they're all playmakers. They're all studs. I think they're all 5 stars too. 2 of them were number 1 overall receivers, Ibuka and Smith in their classes. What's not to like?
I mean, there's nothing bad you can say about them at all. The one thing I've started to get a little bit concerned of is hearing who would return kicks and punts, and a lot of receivers' names are being thrown out there. Which, like, if Smith is returning a punt or kick and gets hurt, I'm going to be so pissed off. So,
I mean, they said this about Marvin last year. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, Ibuka is one of the lead guys, though, for those kicks.
He's going to do this. He's going to wave that hand in the air and call fair catch a lot. We haven't returned a punt or a kickoff since 2014. Jalen Marshall, Middletown, Ohio. It all comes back to Middletown here.
4 touchdown game, right?
Yeah. And our last kick return was? This was a trivia question on the Buckeye Show the other day.
The last kick return?
Yes.
It can't be Teddy Ginn, can it?
No, not quite that far back. Okay. But right, you're in the right decade, which is unfortunate. 2009, Jordan Hall took one to the house. Running back Jordan Hall, yeah. I only knew that because of that trivia question I heard on the radio. Wow. But yeah, other than those guys, Bryson Rogers will probably play some, and Jalen Ballard, who's a senior, tons of speed. He can come in and try to take the top off the defense. I heard lacks in physicality that may be necessary for other aspects of the position, but we're talented. We can afford an injury, but I don't think we're going to need to worry. And if we're playing 2 tight ends a lot, then we're only playing 2 receivers a lot. So it's something that we don't necessarily have to worry about the depth as much. Now, to the question mark, the big question mark of the year, and that's the offensive line. Not great last year for the most part. We're doing some shuffling around. May have lost our most consistent player, but it was just our right guard, and we still haven't officially named a starter there either. But we'll go left to right across the line. Left tackle will be Josh Simmons, who came in, had a horrible start to the season with lots of penalties and missed assignments. But I thought he really turned it on towards the end. He's somebody I don't worry about at all. He's got the athleticism beyond belief. He's got first-round talent athleticism. Now, if he mentally keeps it together for the whole year, I think he could actually shoot up into like a second-day pick, I think. Then we have Donovan Jackson, left guard, preseason All-American. Wasn't great last year. Probably is getting this ranking most off of his seniority experience and that he was a 5-star recruit back in the day. But he does have all the skills you'd want, and I think he'll be better now that he's more – I think he was trying to make up for some weaknesses around him at different times of the year, both at center and left tackle. Hopefully this year he's got the confidence, though. And our new center, Seth McLaughlin, transfer from Alabama, had snap issues last year. Other than that, though, has 2 years of starting under his belt, tons of experience, should be and has apparently been our most consistent lineman. Right guard, it's still a battle, but everything points to being Tegra Chabola. And he's got the size, speed, athleticism that you'd want, but he was recruited as offensive tackle and played offensive tackle until maybe someone last year. Then at right tackle, we got a guy who recruited as a guard and played a lot of guard until last year, Josh Fryer, who was very good as a run blocker last year, not so great as a pass blocker, and mainly the problems he had as a pass blocker is when he whiffed, it was bad and led to sacks a lot of time. So, Casey, how are you feeling about what's up front?
That's obviously the biggest question mark. And again, I don't think we're going to know till probably if they're legit or not. But I'm more confident in it than I thought I would be right now, because I remember last off season it was constant, like, we need to get better and stuff like that. Like, it didn't give me as much confidence based on, I think they don't bullshit about it really in the offseason. Like, they don't want to hype them up more than, they don't want us being in the media about how freaking good everybody is. But I'm more confident, and I just don't want my heart to be broken.
Sometimes they do. Depth on the O-line is definitely something that's a question mark, especially at offensive tackle, I think. Zim Milkowski is the only one they ever talk about being any sort of player. And what happened to Luke Montgomery? Dude was our swing tackle last year. He's been moved to guard. He's not talked about guard at all. Played some center, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be the backup center either. Like, what has happened to this kid? Hopefully they just move him back to tackle and he's was what he was last year, or at least like continues on that trajectory, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think I was just talking about that in our last one, but I'm with you. I thought he'd be, like, for sure in the line for a starting, like, potentially in the battle for a starting position this year, and then his name was just never mentioned.
It was in the spring, but not in the fall. Yeah. Carson Hinsman will probably be the backup at both center and right guard if I had to guess right now. Maybe all three interior positions, and then Milkowski at left tackle, and they say George Fitzpatrick at right tackle, but I haven't heard dick about him, to be honest. So, and he wasn't that highly recruited, so we'll have to see who ends up being. That is a position we will have to hit hard in the portal in the offseason, because we just don't have bodies even. And like I said, we're starting a guard at tackle and a tackle at guard. That concerns me, and we had a wish list in the offseason. And the only thing that didn't get done was that we wanted to move on from Justin Fry after that horrific display in the Cotton Bowl, and a bad display all year, but the Cotton Bowl was just unacceptable. And he's had a rough year on the recruiting trail too. Doesn't look like we're going to bring in any surefire tackles, at least, which is what we've been lacking. So that's, like I said, we're going to have to slam the portal. So this is a make or break year for him. So, and really, I think it's the key to the team. If the O-line dominates, we're winning the national championship. Everything else is there. If they don't, we probably struggle to make the playoff, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if they necessarily have to dominate, but they got to be, like, if they're top 15, I think we're winning it all in the country. Just offensive line in general.
See, I don't know, because you could do that with what we got going on, but I have the worries. So the worries when you play tackles at guards is you can't get push up the middle against a good D-line. Not against – we can push Akron around. We can push Michigan State around. We can push Illinois around. Can we push Georgia around?
Yeah, probably
with tackles playing guard? Probably not. And now guards playing tackle. You can block speed rushers from Akron. You can block speed rushers from Illinois or Minnesota or Purdue. Can you block Mikal Williams coming off the edge from Georgia, top 5 draft pick? Probably not. There's just body type issues with that. Like, that's what worries me. So even if we're top 15, if we can't block Georgia, it doesn't matter. If we can't block Michigan, it doesn't matter.
But, well, we won't play Georgia for a while. And, I mean, they could slip up. Michigan is the only, Oregon too, I guess. But
yes, Oregon's front seven's nasty.
Yeah. But our defense can make up for that too. So, I don't know. Basically, I think we're going to be in it all year as long as our offense, if our line is, they have to be top 15. Last year, they were like 80th or something. I don't know what to rank them. Like, not good.
Yeah. I think one interesting aspect of this entire offense is every group I just mentioned has a transfer in it that's expected to contribute, or a newcomer. So Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver there, the freshman. So it could take a little bit of time for this to gel. is my point about that. Is like a bunch of new guys that are going to be key contributors that aren't used to, and a new offensive coordinator. Like it's going to take some time. Perhaps we don't just come out and drop 42 on Akron in the first half. Don't worry, Buckeye fans. If it's when we get to Oregon that we really need this team to be awesome on offense. So bold predictions, though. We always do this every year. I think last year I had us being the worst offensive days tenure. I should have went farther than that and been like Day and Urban combined, because it was by far the worst one from like a statistical standpoint. This year, my bold prediction, I'll go ahead and say that Travion ends up as a Heisman finalist as my bold prediction. I just think everything being around him helps what he does, like Reggie Bush. The explosiveness when you have everybody around you helping you out just gets like dialed up to a 10. If he's finally healthy, I thought he looked incredible last year, but he just didn't have the blocking and the help around him besides Marvin Harrison Jr. This year he should have that. He should have open lanes, and once he gets in the open field, it's highlight city. So that will be my bold prediction for the year.
I didn't think of one, but just off the top of my head, I feel like it's possible, but I don't know if it's technically a bold prediction that Howard will be a Heisman finalist.
See, I thought you'd go with Ibuka. That was your guy. Like breaking the JSN's catch record, 95, because it could play 16 games. So that's only 6 a game, and we play 16.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I just want to go with something a little different, because I think he could go off if everything gels. Howard.
Oh, he definitely could. I just don't think he's got the skill. Like, if he could hit the deep ball,
yeah,
he could. And I don't know. He could have scored a lot of touchdowns if they really decide to lean on him in the red zone. I don't know if they will, though, because it's just not in Day's nature. But he's not the play caller anymore, so who knows?
Yeah.
All right, but that'll do it for our podcast here for the preview of the 2024 Ohio State offense. But look forward, we're going to do a preview of the defense schedule, and then we'll get that Akron preview out here soon too. But for the Dyerwolf, I'm just Matt. Please like, subscribe, tell us how stupid we are, tell us that we look like we were from a trailer park, like somebody said last year. Not from a trailer park. People we know are, though. All right, but that'll do it. We'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys! Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.